Oh, welcome back, Dota 2 fans. This is game 2 of a best of 3 in JDL Season 4 Europe Division 1 Finals. We will see if mYi Insanity can finish him. Finish him being Moscow 5 International. Of course, mYi taking game 1. Very long game 1, a very back and forth game 1, but able to pull it off with a support juggernaut picked up by Mitch. So it will be interesting to see if they do some flashy things in game 2 as well. Regardless, we'll see how M5 is able to respond. And this is the finals, guys. So this one is for all the marbles and the glory, and it is an elimination match for M5 Int. Of course, game 1 taken by mYi. They will ban out the Brewmaster once again. I believe they banned out the Tidehunter and the Queen of Pain in game 1. Brewmaster banned out my Moscow 5, and we will see the first pick go the way of Moscow 5 this game, as first pick went to mYi Insanity in game 1. So Jakiro and Tidehunter bans out from M5, and we will see the Venomancer ban come out here, or Venomancer ban come out from mYi Insanity. Hefla always gets mad at me when I say Venomancer, so it's a bad habit. Venge gonna be picked up in position 1 here, or in the first pick, I should say, for Moscow 5. Certainly something I expected to see in game 1, but it actually made it through to the second ban phase where it was banned out by Moscow 5. So this will be picked up early and often here, so that'll dissuade any Chronosphere pickups. But another positional support with the Glimpse picked up here in the Disruptor. But Disruptor did get a very nice buff to the Kinetic Field, as well as the mana cost of Glimpse. And not sure if Static Storm was slightly buffed, but I know there were a couple buffs to both Glimpse and Kinetic Field. So definitely Disruptor more worthy support of a first phase pick in this meta than he ever was before it, or the last few before it at least. So we'll see what they end up coupling this with mYi Insanity. We'll probably see Lizard pick up the Disruptor in the 5 position, unless they look for a really hard support in the 5 for him. And then in that case, it'll be Mitch picking up the Disruptor. But I do expect Lizard to pick it up. And it will be the Earthshaker here, so probably a 4-position Earthshaker. Could be the 5 with the early roam with the Fisher to secure mid lane farm, as well as, of course, blocking up the lane in the off lane for that offlaner. So we'll see how these are arranged in terms of the 4 and 5 roles by in which will be indicated by whether Mitch or Lizard picks up either of those. Mitch usually playing in the 4, Lizard usually in the 5, and did play up that Chen in the last game, which was thwarted in terms of his farm because of the early rotation, but he was able to cover fairly nicely and be actually a pretty big factor into the late game, as he was able to Hand of God up a lot of the Chronosphere targets, which was often just Mitch near the end of the game. Some unfortunate Chronos coming out from Slander, and he did have some very nice early ones, very nice ones early on, I should say, but unfortunately later on into the game, positioning was very good for mYi Insanity, and keeping the Chen out of the Chrono and very far back was able to keep up that Chrono target up more often than not. So we'll see what direction M5 takes the draft in here. They did pick up that first pick, Vengeful Spirit, very strong hero in his own right with the swap. Of course, the Wave of Terror, very good to help with physical damage as well as taking down Roshan. And of course, the Magic Missile offering a little bit of early disable as well with a fairly decent range. So we'll see what this Vengeful Spirit is able to do. Probably will be picked up by the likes of Screen, if not by PGG. And they will pick up the Clock here for the offlaner. So Slander probably going to be on that Clockwork. Not something I've seen all too often recently. And so it will be interesting to see how they fare with this Clockwork, but not too sure if that will work out for them. Either way, something I'm definitely a fan of, something that certainly has some big play potential, some splash play potential in the Clockwork with the hook, but should be pretty difficult to do so into the Disruptor. Of course, there's the Glimpse back, which is a simple mechanism to deal with that hook. There is also the Static Storm, which is dropped and overlaps the cog area of effect. So will be interesting to see how this Clockwork pick works out. I feel like it really is feast or famine up against this Disruptor and Earthshaker. Fisher is a very good way to deal with the Clockwork and the cogs. Glimpse is a very good way to deal with the Clockwork and the cogs. Static Storm is a very good way, and the Blink Echo Slam, even when that comes out, is a good way to deal with the Clockwork in the cogs. So there is a swap out for that Clockwork So perhaps they look to just hook in, trap an enemy unit, swap out the clock, and maybe feed over the Venge. But if it's a high priority target, it's certainly worth feeding a Venge for a core 1 or 2 position. And so we'll see what they opt to do with that clockwork. But the Brood ban will come out here from M5. We'll see the Thunder God banned out from mY Insanity, so they don't want to see Necroman's Thunder God once again. He did very well on the Zeus in game 1. And he was able to get up a 12 charge Bloodstone at some point, and did end up with probably still 8 charges on it. He had 10 before that last engagement, did have to buy back and died again. But Doombringer going to be banned out from mY Insanity, so it doesn't look like they'll want to pick that up for Grazine, who did very well on it despite having a poor laning matchup. He was able to recover into the jungle. Lycan going to be picked up here by M5, perhaps for Necroman in the mid lane, but more likely for ZXC. And that is a very nice pickup for them. They're going to deny it from mY Insanity as well. There's going to be a Slark pickup here, though, for mYi. We'll probably see Cole playing that in the safe lane. Perhaps we do see Milan playing it in the safe lane, but don't doubt it will go anywhere but that safe lane. For this Slark pickup is fairly nice against the Clockwork. He does have that Dark Pact to purge off the stun from the hook if he gets it off preemptively, but not a direct counter to any of the heroes for Moscow 5. Is just a very maneuverable, very effective mid-game carry, much like the Ember Spirit was for ZXC, but you didn't see ZXC get involved often enough for my liking in the mid-game, and we'll see if mYi is able to get Milan or Cole involved often enough in this mid-game on that Slark. So we'll see how they're able to fare with these picks thus far. And 30 seconds remaining in the reserve time of mYi, and they'll look to see perhaps to find an offlaner here. One thing, they did pick up their supports very early, so the bans are tunneled. Now for Moscow 5, they've narrowed the scope of their bans. It's going to be all cores from them, and you will see the Razor ban come out before that Doom ban. So Razor definitely deals with Clockwork well. He can link him up in the cogs. Doesn't deal extremely well with the Lycan, who has extremely fast movement speed, 650 movement speed with that shapeshift up, but they do pick up the bat here, so not something I've seen all too often. Interesting, they're going to pick up a bat into a Vengeful Spirit. So Vengeful considered a great counter to bat. They'll pick up the Pugna here for M5 as well. And that Nether Ward is going to be nice versus the Earthshaker, the Disruptor, and the Slark. Isn't the best versus Bat Rider. He doesn't use too much mana. He only really needs his Firefly, which is often used out of range, and his Lasso. So not too much worried about that Nether Ward there. But regardless, the Decrepify will slow the Bat Rider down, and the Life Drain is very good outside of the cogs. So that is a nice thing to couple up with the Clockwork as well. The Nether Blast works fairly well with the cogs in addition to the Life Drain. And so Pugna is a good pick here, and I do like it. And it looks like those will be the 3 cores. Mid lane Pugna, safe lane Lycan, off lane Clockwork for Moscow 5. We'll see the off lane Bat Rider perhaps for mYi, safe lane Slark, and we're looking perhaps for their mid laner here. PGG's Witch Doctor is going to be banned out for Moscow 5 by mYi. Certainly a good ban here, as they do like to run that, and it also works well with the Clockwork cogs. So they have a lot to synergize with these cogs thus far, and the Queen of Pain ban comes out from Moscow 5 International, so not going to give that over to Milan in the mid lane. Queen of Pain, not bad versus Moscow 5 International, but you can often outrun the Sonic Wave with the Lycan. You can stun her up or cog her up, and the Battery Assault will stop her from blinking for at least a little bit. It is a pretty big animation on that blink, so I'm not too worried about the Queen of Pain if I'm Moscow 5. Regardless, they don't want to see it there. Nether Ward also does very well versus Queen of Pain. Her abilities cost quite a bit of mana. But interestingly enough, they'll ban out the Queen of Pain. Mid lane Alchemist will be the pickup here for Milan, so not a bad pickup. But I really, since the screen's Tusk is going to be, so the terror from the barrier, this snowball from Cobalt, the Dusky is going to be picked up for Screen Man here. He's really, really good on this Tusk. It's one of his signature heroes, as you saw his effigy. But back to the Alchemist. Since the buffs to Grievel's Greed, I really haven't seen an effective Alchemist quite yet in Pro Dota. I mean, I've seen them picked up, but I just haven't seen them translate into the late game well enough. And so will be interesting to see if the Alch is able to get some traction under his shoes here into that mid game. And with the Chemical Rage, he is a very survivable target in the cogs. So he will be pretty darn good if they're able to get him some farm here. But I certainly do favor Moscow 5 International's draft at this point. PGG is going to pick up the 5 position Vengeful, but all he really needs is to swap out the lasso target, and they'll do very well. And even without that, they do have the punch from Tusk as well for the Batrider if he gets in close enough. So they also have the Decrepify to slow him down, as well as the Cogs. So will be interesting to see how they are able to make this work out for mYi. I certainly at this point do favor the draft of Moscow 5 International. We'll have a pause at the start of the game, so everyone's connected in. Will be interesting to see how they fare on this one. Necroman looking pretty boss on this Lycan. Looks like it may be a mid lane Lycan with a safe lane Pugna, as ZXC's picked up the Pugna. Lycan's very good in the mid lane as long as you can get a bottle up at a reasonable time. You can spam out those wolves, use them to last hit, as well as deny runes if you don't pick them up for yourself. And he will be against an Alchemist in the mid lane, presumably with Milan picking that up. So fairly good matchup for the Lycan, not too worried about being harassed by a range hero or anything of that nature. So Slander's going to pick up the Clockwork and go towards the offlane. PGG picking up the Vengeful Spirit in the 5 position screen, picking up the Tusk, and that is how we do it in the north. So that's a really nice pickup for him. It's one of his signature heroes, if not his absolute signature hero. Doing a backflip at the moment is Mitch on the 4 position Disruptor. So it looks like they will look to build him into an Ags or a Veil or something of the sort. And Lizard will pick up the 5 position Earthshaker with Cole on the safe lane Slark. Grizzine picking up that off lane Batrider, and Milan going towards the mid lane on the Alchemist. So hopefully we'll have these connectivity issues sorted out for you guys fairly soon, and we can get underway. Macho Man Randy Savage in chat. What can we do? The stars, 1 star shining brighter than all the others. Sorry guys, someone talks about Macho Man, I bust into Macho Man. Regardless, game 1 won by mYi. We're getting this one underway. PGG, pretty famous according to Milan. And 5-man rotation from Moscow 5 in, much like the 5-man rotation from mYi on the Radiant side early on in that one. And they will rotate towards this offlane. Do they have wards on them at the moment? Screen's got a couple of wards, so perhaps just looking to secure some offlane vision for Slander's Clockwork. Everyone going to lane for mYi. Firefly used by Grizzine to drop a nice ward here in the Radiant jungle. That'll give him some good information as to where the supports are and where they're rotating. We'll see where the wards are dropped here for Moscow 5. Screen's the one who's got him, and he's got 1 on him in fact, so maybe PGG's got the other. PGG certainly does have the other. Screen running forward with a snowball. He's gonna drop in all his teammates. Oh, PGG, why are you so late to party? And they will jump in onto Mitch here. Howl's popped as well. Nice Fisher onto 4 from Mitch, but the Magic Missile will finish off Lizard with the Fisher there, and they will look to go into him, but the tower's doing so much damage here. Screen is gonna die, and that's really not what mYi wanted here. PGG gonna take a lot of harass as well. M5 backing off. Pounce is gonna land. There's also the Unstable Concoction, and PGG gonna get chased down here by Cole. Unstable Concoction is gonna land onto ZXC. Do they have the Fisher ready? It will be ready fairly soon. And the Nether Blast is going to cancel the Clarity, though. Well played by ZXC. Cole still chasing down PGG. He's got to pounce in 2 seconds, and he will be able to land it here, presumably. Doesn't even need it, actually. He'll just chase down PGG, and he'll actually use it to finish him off. So 2 going the way of mYi after that big, giant snowball. Nice TP in from Lizard there. He gets off a 4-man Fisher to delay things, and the tower doing so much work. Yeah, diving a tier 2 sub start of the game. Probably not the smartest idea. Looks like a dual offlane or perhaps aggressive offlane with ZXC here. It probably will be the case. Solo safe lane. Slander up versus Grizzine. Should be a fairly even match. Maybe a slight edge to the Batrider, as Slander will have trouble closing the distance, but should be able to drain his mana with the Cogs as he attempted to do here, and was not successful in doing so. But he does have quite a bit of last hit with 58 base damage, and should be just fine to find his farm here. Cole is going to be hard-pressed to find some farm on this Slark, but he will have Mitch rotating in on the Disruptor as well as Lizard on that Earthshaker. So we'll take a look at the solo lanes for now. A couple stacks of Sticky Napalm out onto Slander. He's got 3 up. He's going to have to back off for the time being. Grizzine going to have a good time last hitting here. Screen, PGG, ZXC rotating through the Radiant jungle. And they won't find Lizard, who backs off. PGG actually going to take quite a bit of damage, and he could get blocked in with this Fissure, but Lizard going to opt not to do so. And PGG, ZXC, and Screen going to rotate out for the time being. This gives Cole a bit of time to farm, but they do have the Snowball at the ready if they choose to dive this once again. And it looks like that will not be the case. Mid lane, 7-2 on Necroman's Lycan to the 6-0 on Milan's Alchemist. And he's actually dragging the wave away with his Lycan Wolf, so very nicely played by Necroman. He should do very well in that lane. Cole is going to be a little bit hard-pressed to find some farm. He's going to miss a couple last hits under the tower, as you would expect some to do in those circumstances. Bounty Rune's going to be picked up here by PGG, and he'll rotate towards this mid lane. Milan is postured up very forward here, and there is probably not enough kill potential on him, so he will rotate back to looking for a courier and may just find it. Will PGG will keep an eye on him, and dun 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 dun. Howl popped. PGG down to the low ground. One more right click, and there goes a shit ton of gold for Milan. Was his boots and his bottle on that courier there, and so really poor turn of events for Milan, and he will be aggressed onto as well by PGG. They do have the Howl at level 1 as well as the Feral Impulse here. Level 2 Wolves. PGG is gonna drop a high ground ward for some vision for the Lycan. Sentry ward is barely out of range of this Radiant ward here for the Dire side, unfortunately for them. But they do have more or less equivalent vision in this jungle. Taking a look at the Radiant vision, that's what they see. The Dire vision, that's what they see. Screen's gonna be scouted out, rotating in by Mitch, and not gonna find anything mid lane. Lizard is here to protect up Milan from PGG and Necroman. And they are going to have to commit over that Earthshaker, which will leave their top lane vulnerable. Meanwhile, Grizzine 11 last hits to Slander's 13. So actually the Clockwork slightly edging him out in this lane. But either way, both of them finding farm. Full bottle up for Grizzine. Slander does have that Magic Stick and the Stout Shield. And PGG is going to be scouted out by these wards here, so they aren't too worried about finding or getting ganked here. But Cole only 13 last hits to the 20 of Necroman here. And actually has found quite a bit in this lane, surprisingly. ZXC only found 10 last hits on the Pugna, so surprised to see that Slark find as much as he has. Thunderclap is going to go out onto PGG, just a harassing one. Necroman should find this 4-minute rune top lane, and it looks like bottom lane Lizard will secure that for either himself or his mid laner. Illusion rune found there. Bounty rune actually denied by the Lycan, very nicely played. Sitting there invisible, and is able to deny that up. So as I mentioned earlier on, Lycan pretty good mid laner. Kinetic Field gonna land onto Cole. The Nether Blast will be just short. Screen taking a lot of damage from the tower, and the Thunderclap not in range to finish him off. However, Cole is salving up. He's got a Dark Pact at level 2 as well as the level 1 Pounce, and he will look to find something here. He can land this onto PGG, but he is going to look to back off for the time being. Magic Missile goes out onto Mitch. PGG is there. There's the Kinetic Field. It's going to land. Defensive Snowball used. There's the Pounce, and the Dark Pact is going to hit on 3. One last right click onto Screen. Not going to be there, but the Pounce will land. And PGG getting pretty low as well. Shapeshift is popped from the low ground from Necroman. Lizard rotating in. Magic Step up from Cole. Will the Kinetic Field land in time? It doesn't. One last right click from Necroman. Going to bring down Cole's Slark. And good rotation in from the Lycan. TPs are too late from Lizard and Milan. Milan should probably just cancel that and continue farming mid. But he actually just stuns himself. Milan, please. Ice Shard's going to land onto Mitch. He'll be next to fall as well to the Nether Blast. Not sure exactly what that Milan Alchemist was doing. Probably should have just stayed mid lane and continued to farm as Necroman was able to rotate in. Jungle going to be farmed up a bit by Grizzine. Fight recap. Nice little swing. That's only the Disruptor death there. So Disruptor did go down. PGG went down earlier on, but Cole brought down there. And I'm not sure how PGG actually died. It might have just been Screen on. Yeah, PGG surviving there, it seems. And Screen on the Tusk did fall, but Cole feeding his life over for it as well as the life of Disruptor. So certainly things going M5's way there. Grizzine's going to posture up aggressively onto Slander here, but he will just rotate back into the jungle with the low mana pool that he does have. No lasso available, and perhaps we will see a Rocket Flare come out once again to try and find the last hit on these creeps, but they're actually not going to tick low enough to fall. And Grizzine is well aware of that. 6-minute rune denied once again by Necroman. And he'll pick up the bounty rune in the top lane. Very well played Lycan by Necroman here. Mass TP's top lane. Snowball is at the ready. They're waiting for the TPs, however. Slander is going to miss the hook. And the Snowball coming forward, not going to land. Ice Shards are there, though. But Slander using the hook a little too early. Wave of Terror going to scout things out. Milan sitting in this top lane, losing a lot of farming time. And we take a look at the net worth. The Alchemist is 6th overall. And that is not where your mid lane Alchemist wants to be. And as I mentioned, just haven't seen too much of a good game from any really pro Alchemist at this point. He does opt for the max acid spray build, so no Grievel's Greed here. Slander mid lane onto Cole. Will be able to land the battery assault, or some of it at least, but Cole not too worried. Is looking to pick up his level 6 fairly soon. Level 7 Clockwork here. And actually the lasso was used. Apologies for that one, guys. Haste Rune. And they will bring down PGG's Vengeful Spirit. So not the biggest target to kill, but they do find something with that first lasso. Necroman and Slander looking to push into the mid lane. And it looks like the Batrider is able to Firefly in 10 seconds. Rocket Flare going to scout the trees. No, just actually harasses Cole there. Wolves is going to look to scout something here. Grizzine going to go back to his lane in the off lane. Cole looking to defend this up. He's 4th overall on the net worth. Lycan for Necroman is well ahead of everyone. Mana going to get burned for Cole here. They're going to cog up the tower and look to take this down, but the Glyph will overlap with the cogs. And they will be able to defend this if they opt to do so. 2 TPs available. Only 1 TP from Lizard available for mYi, unfortunately. And they do bring down the Alchemist as well, simultaneously with the tier 1. So things going very well for Moscow 5 in this early game. And not much found in the way of levels either way for Lizard and Mitch. Levels 4 and 3, barely below Screen and PGG at this point. But with the Pugna, they will be able to start taking towers and get a little bit of a gold influx towards these supports. TPs are to the top lane from Milan. Is he channeling the stun? He's not. They will drop the acid spray. And the stun will fly out onto Screen here. It's going to land. He's going to get decrept, though, and they won't be able to continue to attack him. There's the shards, just going to be short. Snowball is here with the Pugna at the ready. Lizard not going to be able to get off of Fisher. He'll get magic missiled right away, and they will look to hook in here from Slander. They'll bring down Mitch as well. Glimpse back onto the Clockwork. And there's the Unstable Concoction onto PGG. Return kill is going to be found here for Milan, but it's just a Vengeful Spirit at this point. He doesn't have an Unstable Concoction quite yet. Nice Fisher block out onto Screen. Pounce is going to land onto ZXC. Snowball is going to keep him away from the Dark Pact for the time being, and the Snowball is out there, but here's the Unstable Concoction onto ZXC. One last right click will bring him down. Screen trying to get away here. Fisher is available in 1 second. Pounce to the low ground also available from Cole, but he'll rotate around a little bit late. And the Unstable Concoction ready now, though. And it should be able to get this Pounce off with that Unstable Concoction landing. He will snowball, however, and they're going to be able to get that Unstable Concoction off to the high ground. Lizard going to be snowballed up here. Pounce is going to land onto Screen. Cole getting very low, however. Wave of Terror going to hit onto many. Battery Assault spreading around, but it is going to hit off that Earthshaker. Cole getting very low. He's going to rotate out. Firefly to the high ground from Grizzine. And Lizard going to die. The Batrider going to get away as well. Screen is going to get away on that Tusk. TP's away from Grizzine. Magic Missile onto Milan. They won't have any follow-up, however. Rocket Flare will be there. Cole regenning up to that Shadow Dance passive. And everything going to stagnate for the moment, but in the meantime, some chip damage done on the tier 2. Tier 1 also brought down in the off lane for Necroman. And they just have so much push on this lineup with the core Pugna as well as the Lycanthrope. And Mitch finding a little bit of farm here. 500 gold on him. We'll be able to find his Static Storm fairly soon, but TPs are to the top lane by Screen, and he will look to solo kill perhaps. Fisher not going to land onto PGG and ZXC, and they won't be able to take them out. Bot lane, Grizzine's finding Necroman here, but there's no one to assist him if he does find a lasso, and he will just harass him out with a few napalm charges. Grizzine quite close to that blink dagger, but 150 away from him, for him, I should say. And that's a pretty decent pickup for him, considering how involved he's had to be. He is level 8, so tied for the top of the chart. Is 3rd and highest overall on the net worth for his team. But either way, finding that blink with another camp will be a very nice pickup for them. They should be able to bring down the Lycan before he shifts. But of course, there is the swap, as well as the hook as well as the punch, as well as decrepify. So they have a lot of ways to deal with this lasso. Mitch, no static storm at the ready quite yet. He will be able to glimpse back screen right into a kinetic field, however, and the nether ward's gonna be dropped. Cole's gonna get cogged up, however, and he will die in his shadow dance. Unstable concoction not gonna do much. Fisher onto 4, but the shards will land onto 2, and they're gonna chase down Milan here. Kinetic field is gonna be dropped by Mitch, very nicely placed, but Pugna finding the last hit on the tower. Unstable concoction is gonna land on Necroman. Shapeshift is gonna be down in just a second here, and it will drop now, so they won't be able to chase any further. Hook is going to barely be short of Milan on the Alchemist. Shards are going to go out and land onto him. There's a snowball as well. He's going to get decrept up, and he won't be able to get off anything here. He'll tick down to the battery assault. Nice mana drain from Slander. Cole's going to have to back off as well around the tree line. He may need to pounce away here, and the shards are going to land with the decrep as well. He'll pounce over them, and Netherward not be able to, and not be enough to bring him down. Grizzine doesn't TP into that one, and they won't be able to find any return kills. So 2-0 going the way of Moscow 5. Taking a look at the graphs at this point, 5k net worth lead, 1000 experience lead garnered by them. And they will be able to put quite a bit of harass into this tier 2 as well. Cole, very under farmed, 3400 net worth on this Slark. Only treads Aquila PMS for him. Things not looking very good at all for mYi. The Alchemist as well, very underfarmed, under 3k net worth. Only Phase Boots bottle for him. And they are just keeping the pressure up for Moscow 5, not allowing them to farm. Rocket Flare gonna tickle Milan mid lane, and we'll scout out that he is there. ZXC rotating through the jungle, looks to build into the mech for his team. And at this point, we may see a clash in the jungle. ZXC rotating through with screen. Milan, probably the next to fall. Magic Missile starts it off. Shards gonna finish him there. Easy kill. No small ball even needed. Howl gonna get popped. Necro 1's coming out for Necro Man. And appropriately enough, Hook by Slander is gonna land on his own teammate, it seems. Rocket Flare out onto 3. Shard's gonna land on 2. And Fisher will be there to zone them away from Lizard. Jump forward though. Lasso is there from Grazine. He gets the Vengeful, the only target that they can get. Kinetic Field is down, but they won't be able to bring him down quite yet. And he'll tick down to the Firefly, but he will get a Magic Missile off before doing so. Rocket Flare going to finish off Mitch. And there's a Fisher there for ZXC. Unstable Concoction is there as well, but Milan's been punched into the air. Shapeshift is used. Pounce forward from Cole. He'll finish off the Pugna, but he will pay for it with his life, presumably. Gets hit by the Snowball under the cover of Shadow Dance. He will be able to back away, but the Shards and one Rocket Flare going to finish him off. Screen finding that with the Shards. And it looks like they will be able to push high ground here for Moscow 5 in. They will continue to take this to a deciding game, it seems. Very nice fight for them. 800 net worth swing and a couple hundred gold swing going their way, but they bring down the Sark. Jump forward. Static Storm is beautifully placed with the kinetic field. Grizzine is there with the Firefly as well. They'll bring down 2 quickly. That's Necroman and Screen. TPing out is Slander here. They won't be able to cancel that. He'll TP out under the cover of the Cogs. But a very nice play from Grizzine as well as Mitch there. And they'll find some good return kills. However, it's only for the 2 supports and the Bat Rider. So they would have liked for Milan or Cole to be involved. But either way, overstaying their welcome a bit is Moscow 5. A nice little return kill there, but still great advantage accrued now for Moscow 5. And they will be able to transition this into some item progression. We do see the level 2 Necros now up for Necro Man. And Milan has found absolutely nothing, as has Cole. He's got 1,000 gold ready, so perhaps he looks to build into a Scotty. Necro 2 now delivered for Necro. He'll be able to TP out to the bot lane. PGG's picked up Treads and Embracer, so very tanky, 1,000 HP on this Vengeful Spirit. Mech is up for ZXC as well. And there's the jump forward. Lasso not going to be there from Grazine, though. A little bit short. And the swap was ready from PGG as well. Unstable Concoction is going to land onto Milan. Rocket Flare going to scout him out and tickle him as well. He's going to have to Chemical Rage here as he does to regen up. And they do have Cole in the top lane. He's got a TP's ready, but he's looking to split push right now. They may just sack this tier 2. Hook forward, though, from Slander. He's going to catch Lizard. He'll get glimpsed back, but not before the Rocket Flare and the Shards finish off the Earthshaker. Nice clean pick off. Nether Blast, one more right click. Tower gets destroyed by the Radiant. Meanwhile, Cole has his tower glyphed up as they continue to go high ground. He's going to need to TP back here unless they want to sack a lane of racks. Jump forward. There's the lasso. Force up to the high ground onto Screen. And he will be able to snowball before the lasso expires. He'll get the punch off and finish off the Bat Rider. Glimpse back from Necroman, but he'll chop down Mitch before not too long. Shadow Dance not going to be able to keep Cole up here. He gets finished off to a few right clicks from Necroman as well as the Nether Blast. And buyback situation is pretty dire. No buyback for the Batrider. No buyback for the Disruptor. Only Cole able to buy back here. That'll be a lane of Rex for free for Moscow 5 with the Howl and the double damage on Necroman. They'll bring this down very quickly. And it looks like Snowball channeled up here going towards Milan. He'll try to phase away, but he will get hit by it. There's the punch. Swap back onto Lizard as well. He'll catch a Magic Missile. Shards and one more right click will bring down Milan's Alchemist. They'll TP forward though. Glimpse back. Echo Slam onto 4 by Milan. Necroman will get finished off to the tower. Cogs will bring back Cole. He'll get a Magic Missile in the face as well. PGG trying to get to the low ground, but he will feed his life over. However, definitely worth all the buyback. Slander is going to hook into the Batrider, but he will be brought down. Perhaps Force Staff up to the high ground from the Batrider. One last right click. He'll bring down the Clockwork. ZXC going to get glimpsed back here. He'll be pounced into. Fisher will bring him down. And they will 5-man wipe them after losing a lane of racks. So a couple buybacks expended on the 2 cores, but they do end up actually losing gold despite the 5 kills. Gold going the way once again of the supports and the Batrider, and actually only very little experience going the way of Cole's Slark. So still, despite feeding over a lot, they don't feed it over to the targets that they're worried about for the side of Moscow 5 Int, and you will see a 10,000 gold lead generated by them. Pretty much even in terms of experience, but it really isn't on the right heroes. You take a look at the hero levels, Slark as well as the Alchemist level 10 and 9, whereas their support Disruptor's level 10 and their Earthshaker is level 8. So not a good distribution of experience for mYi here, and they certainly need to be worried. Force Staff Blink is available for Grazine. We've seen it used up many a times here. Rocket Flare scouting out the jungle here. May have briefly caught a glimpse of Grazine, who will TP out, and Roche going to be down very quickly here to the side of Moscow 5. They don't have a medallion, but they do have the Wave of Terror, the Walrus Punch as well, and of all the units, Necroman picking up the Aegis here, and perhaps this is the cue to look to go high ground. Tier 3, pretty low in the mid lane, sitting at around 40% HP, 600 of 1600. And Decrep Ice Shards out onto Milan. He'll get Rocket Flared as well. Snowball will be there with the Life Drain. Easy kill. Jump forward. There's the lasso onto screen. They will be able to pounce him up and Dark Pact him. They'll trade one, but they lose their Alchemist for a Tusk. Certainly not a worthy trade. Cog's going to be there to zone them away from the melee racks. Fisher will land onto 2. But they will be able to bring down this melee racks with relative ease. Magic Missile going to get pounced and disjointed by Cole. Nicely played by him, but they lose a free lane of racks just for a Tusk kill. Glimpse back, however, onto Slander. He'll pop his Blade Mail as well as the Cogs, and they won't be able to bring him down here. Fisher is going to go out onto a few, but the Netherward is chunking down mYi. And pounce forward onto PGG. He will get a pounce as well as the Dark Pact off, but the Decrep is there to keep him alive. Unstable Concoction going to land on 2 from the side from Milan, but they won't be able to finish it off or follow it up. And Fisher is going to be there onto 3. Grizine looking for something here. He's got the blink at the ready. He blinks forward in front of PGG, but he'll get hooked here. And Decrep, there's the Nether Blast as well. Life Chain not going to be able to finish him off, but he will take down to the Blade Mail of Slander as his Firefly was up. They'll bring down Cole as well. Meanwhile, Milan goes down. No more buybacks available. GG is called. And there goes M5 taking a very convincing game 2. Echo Slam not going to hit on anything. And taking them down real quick is Moscow 5 in game 2. Guys, we're going to go to the decider, game 3 of the finals here. Probably see a Pugna ban or a Lycan ban here from mYi in the last game. They picked up Lycan for themselves, gave it over to Necroman in game 2. And don't ever give Necroman Necro books, because he does what he just did in that game. 617 GPM, tops off the board, and the highest GPM on the side of mYi was 445 for their Batrider. So something certainly to be worried about for them. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'm Morris Pease, your resident Canadian Dota 2 caster. This is game 2 of a best of 3 in JDL Season 4 Europe Division 1 Finals. We'll be back with game 3 shortly, guys.